from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning, Saturday of Jockey Club Gold Cup, some other nice stakes races on the card as well, and some nice stakes action across the country, really. So it should be a great day up here, though, but weather very nice. Last 3 days, get in your Saratoga visit because, as I say, weather's nice today and it's supposed to continue that way over the next couple of days, so it should be a lot of fun up here. On the show a little bit later, Thomas Fornatale will join us in the Money Media and more. We'll get some thoughts on this afternoon's card from Pete coming up a little bit later on, but we're kicking things off with our friend Brad Cox, who's had a pretty good meet up here. We'll talk a little bit about some of that in review, and we'll do a little preview of some of the action coming up as well. Brad, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you on. Talk a little bit about the meet in general. What were your expectations coming in, and how you have matched up so far?
You know, I never really know what to think when you come to Saratoga. You know, you always bring some horses that, you know, hopeful they can compete in some grade ones, and some young horses hoping they can compete with some of our powerful stables. And it's been good. It's been really, really good. I think we have 13 wins to date, hoping we can add to that. We always try to do a little bit bigger and better every year, and I think a couple years ago we had 13 wins. Last year we had 11. So, you know, if we could get one more this
personal
weekend.
record.
Yeah, exactly. So I know my son, he kind of, you know, runs the show up here and has done a great job, and he's definitely we thought we had that 14th win last night in the finale, but our horse kind of decided otherwise. Yeah. But it's been a great meet. It really has.
And talk a little bit about the family being involved, and where are you stabled up here?
On the Oklahoma side. We're right next door to Todd. So it's a good spot. We've been there for, I think, maybe 4 out of the last 5 years. We train mostly on the Oklahoma track. And, like I said, my son Blake looks, you know, is the assistant.
How long has he been involved?
Oh, well, basically since he got out of high school, even maybe a little bit before then, just based off, you know, traveled with me a whole lot, and you know, just grew up in the barn. I mean, he's I guess since he was born, really. But now he's you know, plays a big role up here, and he does a good job. Obviously, Dustin Dugas is my assistant at Belmont. We have enough horses to kind of keep that going for the summer, and he obviously sends horses up. But it's a team effort. You know, we've had winners that come from Ellis, Indiana, Churchill, so everybody pitches in, and it works that way. You got to have a pretty, you know, big operation to be a player here at Saratoga. It's the best racing there is.
And for folks who maybe haven't watched when we had you on previous years, your background, you're a Louisville guy, right? So you've been involved in horse racing for quite a while as well.
Yeah, born and raised. That's, you know, home for me. Churchill Downs home base. We keep a lot of the really good horses there. And, you know, we use it as a hub in the summer to ship wherever it may be. Ellis, obviously Saratoga, you know, California, East Coast, wherever it may be, but that's kind of the home base. But we obviously keep a very, very good group of horses here at Saratoga in the summer as well.
You bounce back and forth in the summer between here and Ellis?
Yes, mostly here in Churchill. Jorge Abregu is one of my main guys. He's been with me for like 13, 14 years, and he takes care of everything at Ellis, and he won the trainer's title again. I always say he won it. He gets to keep the trophy and all that stuff. So he had a great summer there, and yeah, I'm back and forth between Churchill a good bit. Okay. I don't think I've missed a weekend up here this year, but I'm normally back on Sundays and back to Kentucky on Sundays and back up here on Thursdays or Fridays.
And you said you're before the show, you said you're heading out here after racing on Monday, which makes a lot of sense. Do you keep an outfit up here after the meet? Because, again, for people I've mentioned the last few days who aren't familiar, it's not just the racing season. Training goes from April to November up here.
Yeah, no, we'll ship the horses we want to keep on the Naira circuit. They'll go down to Belmont.
Okay.
Well, that'll grow once this is over. That'll pump that division back up and have those horses ready for the Belmont at Aqueduct meet.
Makes sense. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's happened so far. And the one I obviously wanted to bring up was just the other day, the Grade 1 personal ensign. You had two Titans in there with Clariere and Nest, and you're going to win with Idiomatic, the number 1 horse, Idiomatic, over Secret Oath. Nest runs 3rd in here, Clairiere 5th. But what were your expectations coming in, as they say, with the 2 Titans in the division? What were you thinking when you entered Idiomatic, and what did you come out of the race feeling about her?
Yeah, look, I mean, she's we felt when she performed the way she did in the Shawnee at Churchill, I thought, she could run with the best fillies and mares in the country based off that performance. Big effort there. She obviously shipped over to Delaware, overcame a tremendous amount with a very hard stumble at the start. We're probably lucky Florent stayed on. She was able to overcome, like I said, the stumble, not being on the lead, and showed that her ability to go beyond a 1 1/8. We can go 1 3/16. And then as soon as that, race was over, we turned our attention toward this and thought about California. California come up a little quick. It was back in 4 weeks. I thought, I'd just bring her to Saratoga, train her up for this. And the way she was training, the way the race looked on paper, I thought, she had enough speed to establish a clear lead. She did, and I knew figured she would stay on. She always has in her races, and it was a big effort and a big performance. I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, you have to feel great about that. As they say, that was a salty field with those other 2 in there. I also wanted to pull up out of town because, as you stated, you have horses at various venues, and you won the Arlington Million this year. We're going to take a look at Set Piece getting it done in the Arlington Million, which this year was run down at Colonial Downs. 7 years old. You have to be happy with this performance.
Yeah, no, this is a cool race. I mean, for this horse to get a Grade 1, we've taken some shots in Grade 1s, and he come up. He's run very respectable. He actually was second here in the 4-Star Dave. He was favorite in the Grade 1 at Woodbine a year or so ago, and just never really could get it done in a Grade 1, but this was obviously a big effort. Listen, he's a 7-year-old gelding. We give him the winter off, or December we just kind of kick him out for the winter, and he really responds well. The Juddmonte team does a great job with him. He just hangs out there in Kentucky the month of December and January, and we get him cranked back up for the spring. But he's just a really, really cool horse. He's a beautiful horse, and we liked him in the beginning, and he ran well, and he kind of was in and out a little bit, but he's once again a gelding, so he serves his purpose well. He's as honest as the day is long, and just very proud of him, and very happy for the Juddmonte team to get a Grade 1 for him.
Yeah, and marching towards $2 million in earnings. That was the 13th victory in the career for that one. Fill us in. What's up next, maybe for Set Piece, and also what's up next for Idiomatic?
Idiomatic will probably look at the Spinster. Juddmonte's obviously the sponsor of the race. We like the distance, bring her back home to Kentucky, train her. Obviously, it's around 2 turns. We think she excels around 2 turns. She's done her best running around 2 turns. So, I think that makes the most sense for her right now. And obviously, Set Piece, unsure really right now. He just had his first work back at Churchill this morning, just an easy half mile. Not sure. Talk it over with Prince Khaled's family and make a decision in the near future. I think maybe the Coolmore Mile at
just
Keeneland.
looking Turf Mile last year, he was 4th, but a close up 4th.
Yeah.
Closing
and
up.
One thing I think some people said something about him. How come you hadn't tried him beyond 1.25 miles? Well, he got a great setup the other day, and I think it was maybe more the pace than it was the distance.
Yeah.
That'd be my take on it. But overall, he's still going strong at the age of 7, and we'll find something for him.
It's fun to have a horse like that. It's fun for fans to root for horses like that too, that stick around.
Yeah, for sure.
Land on. Wanted to pull up also New York Bred Showcase Day, because we always like to tout the New York Breds, and you've got a nice one now in the barn. Caldwell Loves Gold broke the maiden in the career debut back on July 27th, and then came back just a few days ago. Again, New York Showcase Day. Caldwell Loves Gold is going to be the number 1 horse here, winning the Seeking the Ante. Talk a little bit about her and how good it is to have a talented New York bred.
Yeah, no, I mean, New York breds can, they can compete on open stage as well. But this is a nice filly. She received a really good figure out of this race. We liked her leading up to her debut, and then obviously came back and put 2 back-to-back races together, and looking forward to, what lies ahead for her. like I said, good figure out of the race the other day, move forward a good bit. And, not certain if we'll, stick to the New York breds for now or open company. We'll just kind of let some of the other horses.
When you have a talented New York bred, your options are open. But when do you kind of feel like, let's try open company? Because they're the big New York days where you can go for the big money.
Yeah, for sure. It's I think you just kind of got to handicap the division overall. And we'll find out more about the division today with the spinaway. So that's going to determine maybe what we do moving forward.
Yeah, very good. Also wanted to pull up because I always like to take a look at, horses that may be worth looking at going forward. You had a first-time starter, again, just a couple of days ago, Gold Lightning in the career debut. I was kicking myself. I put this one right underneath in the second spot. I looked up at the board and said 14-1. So I happily played a little bit there with a nice price, but Gold Lightning in the career debut the other day by Bolt D'Oro. Talk about, just a first-time starter. And in these situations, do you get indications in the morning that you're going to get an effort like this, or what were your expectations going in?
This filly was actually down at Belmont with Dustin. Okay. He liked her a tremendous amount. We sent her up. She got called up, and we worked her from the gate here on the Oklahoma track. And I thought it was a good move, but I thought she struggled a little bit with the dirt. Tried to work her on the turf. We got rained out a couple times. Worked her on the dirt again. I thought she worked well enough, but just maybe struggled with the dirt a little bit. I was wanting to make her a dirt horse, and I'm not saying she's totally not, but
she wasn't struggling with the turf.
Yeah, no. And I didn't know how she would handle it, to be honest with you, based off, with not having an opportunity to work her on it. But, she did display a good bit of stamina, so I didn't figure she would get tired if I run her long on the turf first time. And turning for home the other day, I thought, man, if Frankie can if Manny Franco can get a seam, she looks like she's got a horse, and she really responded well and kicked home.
And what are the options with that one going forward?
Obviously, the Miss Grillo would be an option there at Belmont, and then the I think the Jessamine at Keeneland would be a race in play as well. I think she deserved the opportunity to go directly into the greatest stake company based off what we saw the other day. I think it, from what I heard, was a good maiden race. I think some other outfits, barns in there that like their horses, and she performed well, and she earned the opportunity to march forward to a great stake.
You mentioned also you look at the numbers. Which numbers do you look at?
All of them.
Okay.
Well, most of them. I like the Ragusan, I like the Buyer. Those some of the Equibase figures, but those are probably the two I zero in on the most. They're not always right. They're not always wrong, right? I mean, most of the time they're right, but there's some numbers that, you kind of, that's why I think you have to have more than one option or one number to look at. So that's kind of what we use.
Yeah. And do you use those in planning the next start as well?
Sometimes a lot of it's visual too, and knowing the horse and just knowing, what they're capable of, if they're capable of more, less, how they train, what, how much that particular race took out of them. Once again, like who may be moving forward in the division, just like the New York bred, if we were to maybe look at a open company with her, it might be a grade 1 next time. If just say if Philly wins really impressive today in the spinaway, it may make this field in the Frizette smaller to take a shot on a grade 1 placing, even though you're not winning. Running second and third in those grade 1s are very valuable, especially for fillies.
All right, that's a little review. Let's do a little preview because coming up a little bit later on, we talked about on the handicapping show, but we have the Prioress coming up today. I like Dazzling Blue. We're going to actually go back a couple of starts to the win at Churchill. Dazzling Blue is going to be the number 1 horse. Subsequently finished second to the super talented but ill-fated Maple Leaf Mel in the victory ride. But that snapped a 3-race win streak that was included with this win we're looking at here at Churchill. Are you looking for the rebound this afternoon? Thoughts on Dazzling Blue in the Prioress?
Yeah, for sure. I expect her to move forward off that victory ride. I thought she drew well. It looks like it's 5 fillies in there, kind of all want to do the same thing, be forwardly placed. So this is going to give Joel an opportunity to kind of sit where he likes. She's good. I like this filly. We liked her a lot last year as a 2-year-old. She's always shown up and run hard. We had to back off of her this winter, give her some time. No major issue at all. Just needed to be freshened up a little bit. She responded well with that, and I think she's got a real shot to pick off a graded stake here today. She's been working very, very well across the street on the Oklahoma track. So if she puts in an effort today like she has of the mornings with these works, I think she's set up for a big one.
She's only sprinted so far. Today's also 6 furlongs, so you've kind of stuck with that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide when you have a something of a confirmed sprinter, or let's try a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think first and foremost you have to watch your races and your feedback from the jocks and obviously of the morning training, just based off how she's presented herself pretty much since we picked her up last spring. Just kind of always thought she might be a little bit limited on distance. She's really good at what she does so far. So
yeah.
I just don't really know if it's she's one that wants to
go much fool around with what's working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But wants to go much further than
by Into Mischief again. That first time starter by Bolt Euro. You have any sires that really stand out to you that you'll love to get them in the barn?
Into Mischief.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy. That's an easy question. We've had a lot of luck with him throughout the years, and he's been very good to us.
Also wanted to take a look because you have one down at Kentucky Downs coming up in the Gun Runner a little bit later. We're going to go back and look at Ellis Park, Kentucky Downs Preview Day, the Dueling Grounds Derby. Wadsworth's going to be the number 10 horse, showing up a little bit later today, as I say, in the Gun Runner down at Kentucky Downs. That's a quirky track, and it's just going to depend, I guess, if horses take to it or not. But talk a little bit about Wadsworth and the performance here and leading into the race this afternoon at Kentucky Downs.
Well, I thought he was my Derby horse last year when I brought, and not Dueling Grounds Derby, but I thought we had him here at Saratoga. He was training really well. We were very high on him from the start. He's very, very good looking, quality road. He didn't really pick his feet up as much on the dirt as we like, so we get castrated and put him on the synthetic. He went forward. Then he transferred his form over to the turf. His numbers have gotten better. On the turf, I think that can come with, obviously liking the surface, but with age as well. He's danced a lot of dances, but he's still going strong. Midway through his 3-year-old season, and once again, like you said, the Dueling Grounds. Listen, there's a million reasons to give it a shot, right? Today for this horse, and with being a gelding, but you don't really know. We try to get him over there. Let him gallop over the track a day or two. He had that opportunity. He schooled yesterday. All that went well. So, we'll see how it goes. But it's kind of one of those things where if it's really good, you listen, you can't try it again for a whole year. And if it's really bad, you don't go back and you don't worry about trying it again.
Well, it sounds like you have on the training side, have the similar reaction that handicappers do. It's so quirky. You're taking a shot and you don't really know. It's going to depend if the horse likes the track, right. But at least you're maybe giving a little run over the track and getting some kind of an idea. Yeah,
several years back, kind of watched another trainer. I'm not going to say his name, had a tremendous amount of success there, and it kind of seemed like he shipped in and trained over the track. So we started doing it, and as soon as we started doing it, it's kind of picked up and did a little bit better. But the racing's got extremely tough there over the last 3 or 4 years. It's not just a local thing. It's not a Kentucky thing. There's horses coming from, really everywhere to zero in on it with the money, and it's an exciting meet.
Yeah, as you said, there's a million reasons, or maybe multiple million reasons why to take a shot. And let's just go to the weekend before we let you go. Timberlake, we're going to take a look at the win July 21st out at Ellis. Timberlake's going to be the number 7 horse. You've got him rolling in closing day. The hopeful. What are your expectations for Timberlake?
I like this colt a lot. We liked him first time out. Obviously, he was.
This was a nice win. Did this get a nice number?
He was 85 buyer.
There you go.
I think he was like a 12 on the sheets, but one with something left. I think the horse that was second came back and won right back. So now this is a colt that's been, act like he was really good from day one. His works every week were really solid, and he was one of the obviously early 2-year-olds, and he was able to get his maiden broke in his second run there. And we, turn our attention toward this race. He's been working really good across the street on the Oklahoma track. He's a very, very good workhorse, and this is a very good addition of the hopeful. We were a part of it last year, and it was obviously turned out to be a very good group as well. But this is a pretty deep group of horses, and you're going to have to get a good position here on Monday because this is a solid group.
another offspring of Into Mischief.
Yep,
So
there you
go. Brad, I always appreciate the visit, particularly on a Saturday morning. I know it's always busy up here at Saratoga, so we appreciate you taking the time. And I'm rooting for the record-breaking win over the
me too.
next 3 days.
Hopefully we can add to it.
Very good. Brad, appreciate the visit. Good luck.
Thanks, Seth.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, he's in the house. Peter Thomas Fornatale from In the Money Media and more. We'll take a look at some races on this afternoon's card and more with Pete right after this. Stay tuned.
And receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this, the final Saturday of the Saratoga meet. Always kind of a melancholy time, but we have 3 more days left, and it looks like 3 more very nice days up here at Saratoga. So head on up and enjoy the final action up here for the season. And final Saturday of the season. I knew I had to squeeze him in before he got out of town, because when Pete sat down, he said, we're on a streak here and we're keeping it going. Peter Thomas Fornatale of In the Money Media and more. Pete, good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. It is such a pleasure to be here on truly one of the most gorgeous mornings of the meet. This is what it's all about. We've got a couple great days, 3 great days of racing ahead of us, and I, for one, can't wait.
You've got a house in town now, and I know you enjoy activities over there. I saw on Twitter a little birthday celebration. I ran into you and your mom and your aunt, I believe, one day coming out of the track. And so you're enjoying Saratoga with the rest of us. Reflect a little bit on the season so far.
It's been a high highs and low lows kind of year. And I can't reflect on it without, at least mentioning that it hasn't been the easiest. But, we still get to be here. We get to be with our friends. We get to be with our family. I think it's a time for the industry to take some introspective looks at what's going on to secure its future. And it's rough, but, I'm a believer that you got to sort of feel the pain to move past the pain. And that's sort of, I think, what we're trying to figure out, what we can learn from this meet to make it a better game going forward. And amidst it all, despite some of the rough stuff, it has been a great opportunity. You mentioned having, I was able to have my mom and my aunt here, my daughter Perrin, now 10 years old, really starting to get into racing on a pedigree and history level. So that's going to eventually lead to handicapping, I think. We have one of her school friends up this weekend, so it's kind of a fun weekend for me. I get to be with what we call affectionately civilians. So I'll be ready to explain, what a furlong is and all like that kind of fun stuff. But we'll hopefully have some winners and have a couple more great meals in the place I like to call the Little House on the East Side.
Nice. Yeah, we were at your house recording you a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Nice little spot right around the corner, essentially, and a great spot to spend the summer, certainly. And you hit on it, and we've talked about it, obviously. There are clearly some rough patches, the weather at the beginning, but obviously the incidents on the racetrack. But there are also some highs, Arcangelo and Gunite, Neko Zulu, and great performances. But you're right, and I tell people maybe to go the Q&A with Mark Cassie over at TDN and the TDN Writers Room with Mark Cassie just recently. I think, and I had Jim and Tina Bond in yesterday, and we hit on it a little bit. But then after the show was over, I sat here for an hour talking with them, and I think everybody is kind of taking this chance to reflect a little bit. Hopefully, the highs were great, but the lows were kind of reflecting on, hopefully moving forward from in a positive fashion.
I think that's well put, and I like the idea of getting horsemen more involved in these conversations. We have this national authority now. I wish they would have more boots on the ground, more two-way communication. I've talked to a lot of horsemen off the record. They have their opinions. Hard to get people to talk on the record. Everybody kind of keeping their head down in this time. But I'd like to see our friends at HISA open the doors a little bit and get the feedback from the people who deal with these animals and are entrusted with their care every day, because they love them more than anybody. And everybody really wants the same things here. Just got to figure out a way to get on the same page.
And that's something we have to reiterate all the time. If you come to the backstretch and you talk to the people who take care of these horses every day, they most of them are here because they love horses. That's why they're involved.
You wouldn't do this crazy lifestyle if you didn't.
And so I think we have to push that aspect a little bit more. Also, before we move on and do a little handicapping, I want to let you tout In the Money Media, which has become an empire of podcast. I visited the website just the other. I had a case in, so I was on the website pulling up her a podcast which kind of deals with the sales side of things. But talk a little bit about just generally, but also specifically some of the podcasts and subjects you hit on now with In the Money.
Sure. Well, we've been blessed to have great talent like Acacia and Maggie Wolfendale and JK all doing shows on our network. So any glory I accept for In the Money is a reflection of people like that. Matt Bernier has to get mentioned as well, and the fantastic work they do. We started off as one show, and we realized, there's more of an opportunity here than to just talk about one racetrack every weekend. And now we're at the point where we have a team of regulars. We cover racing across the country. We have the deep interview show with JK. We have more fan development type shows with the work that Matt does, and also our friend Spencer Lugenbuehl with a show called Red Board Rewind. That's almost like an old handicapping book, but in audio form, really trying to help people learn how to sniff out long shots and construct tickets and things like that. It's been great, and it's expanded beyond podcast now, where we have a YouTube channel, In the Money Media, over there, a lot of visual content, a newsletter that's 6,000 people strong. So it's been great, and it's really been a result of the support of the fans and listeners. I thank the listeners at the end of every show, and I do that with great sincerity, because without them, we wouldn't be much. And then I also have to give credit to our industry partners, people. I mean, if I start naming them, it'll be the rest of the segment. But all corners of the industry have really stepped up to support us, and we must be doing something right, because they continue to want to make deals with us. And I like the idea that we're sort of a community within racing, and your support and Steve Bick's support from the very beginning have really also enabled us to thrive.
Yeah, easy to support, because again, you guys do great work. And Nick Luck, I see, has. And you also do a little harness racing. I like that.
Got to throw that in there too.
Started across the street way back when, so I like that. And so you're really touching on all aspects. And I highly tout people to just visit the website if you haven't already done it, and kind of click on some of the podcasts. You will not be disappointed. Easy. Google In the Money Media.
Yeah, InTheMoneyPodcast.com, or if you just go on YouTube and look for the In the Money Media channel. Those are the best ways, and we'd love to have you subscribe and reach out. There's a contact page right on InTheMoneyPodcast.com. If you have a question for me, that goes to my personal email. So that's the best way to reach out. Or social media. I'm at Looms Boldly over there. You just had the man on who trained Looms Boldly. Now you get Looms Boldly, the human. And that's another way to reach out and keep the conversation going.
How much fun was that Marshall Graham named one of those?
What a great tribute. Clay and Marshall. Talk about people who've supported us from the beginning. Clay and Marshall and 10 Strike Racing, along with the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, which we've both done some work for. They were the first partners. Before it was Breeders' Cup and Naira and all these other supporters, we had them, and great friendships have come out of that. And I mean, I view it as the ultimate honor, and the fact that we've been able to win a bunch of races. It didn't go as we planned up here. It wasn't really a proper race in the book for him. We took a shot, but he'll be back, and I'm really looking forward to his next run as well.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch him from the get-go. And I know you were at the you tweeted out pictures of you at the track for the initial run, and it's been fun to watch him. And again, Marshall Graham doing a great job there.
That day, Seth, I'll point out, I won the Best Dressed Man at Aqueduct Award, which some have likened to the Nicest Guy in Prison Award. But I keep it on my mental.
Very good. I don't blame you. Very good. So again, In the Money Media, check out the podcast. As I say, you will not be disappointed. A big part of the podcast is handicapping, and so as we invited you in, I said take a look at some races today. We'll take a look at some Saratoga, maybe take a little look at the Pacific Classic as well. One of the races you wanted to look at, I'm intrigued to see where you go, because this is my Dark Horse Play of the Day race, the 6th.
Ooh.
Dark Horse Play Day brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga.
Got to get the plug in there.
Even if I'm on the front side, I have to.
You have to.
But I went with number 7, Ocala Rocket. Worked a quick 9.4 before attracting a little less than $500,000 at the sale. Has some win early siblings. The workouts are okay. I thought this one was interesting at a 5-to-1 price. Buffoon at 12-to-1. I think is very interesting. There was a sibling called Avocado that took 6 starts to win in France, but in those 6 starts, a win, 3 seconds, and a couple thirds. Agate Road is logical on the outside for Todd Pletcher, but it's a fun race and a nice big field. There are 2 or 3 others I could point at with equal conviction. Where did you go in the 6th?
So there's so many ways to go in here.
Yeah.
As you point out, this is a little bit of game theory in terms of pick bets and whatnot, because I think it's a race where most people are going to spread with good reason. But there's a horse I feel like I can really attempt to get stuck into in here. That's the number 3 runner, Tom Collins, for Shug McGahee. This horse took money and showed speed in that off-turf debut, but this is a very turfy female family. The Dam Party Now ran a winning race on debut, was stakes placed, did all the work, I think, on turf and synth. Both siblings were turf runners and ran good numbers. I just thought this was a spot where the world is going to spread, so I'm going to look to get a little bit narrow with Tom Collins. Certainly don't mind the idea either, depending on how you're playing your pick bets, of maybe having some lines where I get very narrow to Tom Collins, and then maybe another line where I have backups with all the ones you mentioned to some of the stronger opinions later on. But I thought Tom Collins was definitely worth a shot in this spot, and not just because it's a lovely cocktail.
And it is a lovely cocktail. 4-to-1 in debut, so took a little action in debut, but do note it was an off the turfer, showed some speed in there. I will note also, looking up the breeding, there's a sibling called Passing Out that won the career debut. I always like that when they have siblings that are win early as well. So interesting. As I say, I think it's a really fun race.
That's a funny female family with Passing Out and Tom Collins.
Yeah, good point. I hadn't thought about that. For some people, it all comes together because it really is a good drink. So good that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you mentioned the pick bets. I like exactas. I play some pick 4s. I like to play around with those a little bit. I wish they'd make the pick 3 in New York a 50-cent bet, because if you hit a big price in the first leg of the pick 4, I like to back up with that.
Yep.
But it's still $1 in New York. But for me, exactas, pick 4s are where I go. Your favorite bets?
I like to swing at pick 5s and pick 6s from time to time. I feel like they're bets that are it's not something I would advise just you like a general player to do, because you have to have bankroll and you have to be able to weather losing streaks, because there's going to be a lot of randomness in it. But for me these days, especially working in the industry, betting less and less as opposed to what I used to bet when betting was like part of my income, I just like the idea of being able to have a bet where you can get some other people to throw in money and you take a shot, and you hit last year. I think I hit 2 all meet, but ended up with a positive. And it's one of those things. It's high risk, high reward. It depends on what you're going to the track for. If I was trying to teach somebody to be a winning player, I'd say, look at the old pick 1. Try to make money on your win bets before you get jiggy with it, a bet like the pick 5 and pick 6. But for where I am in my development as a horse player, that feels just about right now to take a shot on some of these big Saturdays at Saratoga and try to get lucky and get a score.
You make a great point about the win. Yeah. Don't get, if you're new to the game and you hear folks like us talking about the picks and whatnot, don't get so excited. Start and learn the game a little bit. And I think we also have to recalibrate our thinking, because I have brought people to the track. My sisters, I always use them as an example. They aren't really horse racing fans necessarily, but I've brought them to the track before. And when you get new people to the track, you realize they're thrilled with a $3.20 show. They want to cash some tickets, and you have to recalibrate. But that's great, because then they're interested in the game. And while you sit there, you can kind of handicap. By the end of the day, they're kind of following along and making their own picks maybe, and that's how you pull people in.
Show parlay. That might be what I do today with my civilian friends.
Nice.
You can run that up too.
Yeah.
You know, especially in a big Saturday at Saratoga. We've got some big full fields today, and you have that ability to start with a little and get with a lot, and like you say, cash some tickets along the way. And you know, a lot of people will be over there today firing in that show pool. And you might, I wish we had the penny breakage, then the show parlay becomes a great bet. But it's still an interesting way to fly when you're new or have newbies around.
And I applaud Oaklawn for the juicing up
the
show.
on-track bonus. That's wonderful, too.
It really is. And you've kind of hit the sore point for me, because every Sunday I've been doing a show pool bankroll for randomly selected LTB patrons. And so far I'm whiffing. It's but
only takes one.
As you said a couple of years ago, it was 2 years ago, we start with 100, and a couple of years ago I turned the 100 and 2,700.
Yeah.
So it can happen. We had a couple of $6 show payoffs in the so I have one more left tomorrow.
Let's get it. Be optimistic.
We're shooting for that. All right, let's take a look. 8th race today. It's the Harvey Pack 5.5 on the turf. I went with Big Invasion. Dean Reeves and company has run nicely up here at Saratoga before. Comes over from Royal Ascot. I'll look for the rebound. Our shot comes in good form. Thin White Duke for Steve Chris. We noted earlier that would be suitable if Steve Chris won the Harvey Pack. But I went 4, 5, 3, and 2. What did you see?
That's what I'm rooting for in here.
Yeah.
I'm not going. My key horse is going to be the 2 Dancing Buck, just because I think there's a serious lack of speed for a turf sprint, and I think that may end up compromising the likes of Steve's horse, the incredibly named Thin White Duke, and also Big Invasion, who's obviously a horse who's incredible talent, might even end up being a contender for a race like the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. That's how good that form is. But I do worry about them maybe being a little up against the profile of the track in this spot, whereas I think Dancing Buck might have the ability to get the run of the race and get that race 2 back. I think gets the job done in here, and I think it could be something similar in terms of the pace scenario. But this race I really wanted to talk about because it is the Harvey Pack, and I had the great pleasure of really being introduced to the game in many ways just down the road here at a place that I'm not sure if is a sponsor, so I won't say their name.
Oh, you can.
The old Ciro's seminars for DRF, and had the opportunity I was the guy, people sometimes recognize me from this still, the guy who sat on the side of the stage basically and pointed to Harvey when it was time to talk. And thus a friendship began. And I had the opportunity to work on his memoir together, May the Horse Be With You, which was just a great thrill, and a book I still get compliments on to this day. And about once a month from those days on, I would go up to the Upper West Side, sometimes even with Perrin in tow, and have dinner or have lunch usually with Harvey and his wife Joy, and hear all about the family. I understand there's going to be some good family representation here today. I'm excited for that, and it's an overdue and wonderful thing to have this stakes race named for him. This was just about his favorite place in the world, and I only wish I'd busted out the red jacket today. I don't own a red jacket. If I'd planned ahead, I would have had one just for today to rep Harvey, one of the all-time great broadcasters, and just somebody who's had an immeasurable impact on my life. I think Dancing Buck might be the one to get the job done, but I'll be pulling. Look, I won't be upset to see Big Invasion. Love that horse, but boy, to have Steve Chris, I believe it was Harvey who gave him the nickname King of the Pick Six, and Steve was a regular on the old Thoroughbred Action shows. I can't wait to see him out there in the paddock. He's a regular too on the In the Money podcast, and just it's going to be an emotional and wonderful thing to be there in the paddock for that one.
And perfectly appropriate that he has a stake named after him up here. And I said on the earlier show, if you're new to the game, you're not familiar with Harvey, there has to be some YouTube videos out there. And I mentioned, I remember back when cable TV first came into upstate, and I said WOR, and Marmino corrected me, it was Sports Channel with the Thoroughbred Action. WOR had the great Saturday afternoon show with Charles C. Canny and Frank Wright. But the Harvey Pack show, which was the recap show every day, and the program, and May the Horse Be With. Is the book still available?
It's tricky. I need to bring it back into print.
Yeah.
I may have a couple. If anybody is really interested, hit me up. I mentioned before, inthemoneypodcast.com, the contact page. If I go through a box in the garage up here, I may have 2 or 3 more, but we're getting down to the nub. It needs to be brought back into print. I have, and I believe Michael Pack has the original tapes that we recorded. Wow. It would take some editing, but boy, can you imagine a posthumous audio book from Harvey Pack? How cool would that be?
That would
maybe
be
a
cool.
project for a future time.
Yeah. Or a podcast series.
That actually might be an easier way to do it. And then at the end, do it as an audio book. You're hired. It's good stuff.
Syracuse Newhouse graduate. I'm harkening back to that 50 years ago.
Fantastic school.
The 11th today is the feature Jockey Club Gold Cup. I pulled up a little replay because I said on the handicapping show earlier, I think Rattle and Roll has developed into a nice player in the handicap division as a 4-year-old. We're going to take a look at the Blame. This was back on June 3rd. Rattle and Roll will be the winner here. Subsequently ran a close-up second in the Stephen Foster. But again, he was kind of a second-tier stakes level 3-year-old last year. But he's moved into the handicap division nicely. I'm going to tilt slightly in that direction. I thought Tyson was interesting, Proxy, obviously. But what are your thoughts in the Jockey Club Gold Cup?
When I first looked at the race, I thought Rattle and Roll, who we're seeing here, hit the wire full of run, was definitely the one to beat. And the more I looked at it, the more I got interested in the second horse you mentioned, Tyson. And it's really a pedigree thing. Just going back through this pedigree, I mean, this is a horse who has plied his trade exclusively on synthetic tracks and done very well, obviously improving in great hands with Josie Carroll. It took a little bit longer to come around. But you go back in this pedigree, and the second dam is Better Than Honor. Better Than Honor, who produced Jazzle, who produced Rags to Riches, who produced the dam of a horse called Arcangelo. So you look at this horse, and the questions with Tyson is he going to improve for dirt? Is he going to improve for distance? Well, based on that second dam, he's supposed to be better. He's not supposed to be just as good. He's supposed to be better going long on dirt. It's interesting to me that Josie Carroll also has Duke of Love in here, for whom I think you could also kind of make a long shot case. But I wonder if it isn't going to be a team tactic situation a little bit where they say Duke of Love's best chance is towards the front, and that even helps set it up better for Tyson. So I'm going to bet Tyson to win. And I'm going to play a boxed exacta with Rattle and Roll and Tyson in this spot. And I think these are a couple of nice horses, the ones to beat. I think we're going to get a decent price on Tyson. And I'm really excited to see this race.
I have it the opposite way, obviously. But when this morning on the handicapping show, I said Tyson, very intriguing. Trying dirt today, but Josie Carroll elects to come down and pick this spot. I found it very, very interesting. Speaking of Woodbine, where Josie Carroll plies trade on the career, you were up there a couple of weekends ago for the King's Plate, because I have made the mistake many, many times. It is no longer the Queen's Plate, it's the King's Plate. But I was kind of surprised the Cassie runner, Mark Cassie runs 1-2. I was surprised at the value on the Cassie winner coming out of the plate trial victory.
So much of the attention in there went to Kalik, shipping in, who's a horse who for a lot of us had tabbed for that spot for a long time, and there were just a lot of different ways to go. And that's one of those funny ones where after sometimes certain things happen, and afterwards you say, I wish I didn't know so much. I would have just had the Cassie exacta there. And I felt a little bit like I outsmarted myself a bit in there. It was a beautiful run through from Patrick Husbands and a good result and a great day up there. I was
going to ask, what was it? We used to go to the Queen's Plate every year, but now with having switched during the pandemic, we don't get a chance because it's during Saratoga. But I'm assuming that the August date still turns out to be a great day.
I think so. I mean, we saw we had a 17 runner field with also eligibles. The horsemen clearly love having more time than late June to get these 3-year-olds ready to run the 1.25 miles. The supporting card was very strong. And it's such an event. I mean, it's so funny. I did a double take when some well-dressed woman asked me where she could find the royal enclosure. I was like, wait a second. I thought I was in Toronto. I mean, ask it. What's going on here? But they make a big thing of it. It's a fashion event. It's a local event. Jim Lawson and the team do an incredible job. I love it up there, and I'm excited to go back in a couple of weeks' time. I tasked Susan this week with picking the movies she wants to see at the Toronto Film Festival. So we'll be easiest sell to a non-serious racing partner is the Woodbine Mile, because you get that film festival in there. So everything comes together. And that's just it's a fun, wonderful city. And hopefully I'll be seeing you up there for that one.
That's kind of the game plan. We are discussing going up for the Woodbine Mile. So we'll see, because I'm with you. I love it. They treat you well. And I think it's a fun track, and the 2 turf courses. And it's from here, a really easy drive. You pop up the throughway, and at Buffalo, you take a right turn, and you're there before you know it.
Careful, I may attempt to bum a ride from you if you keep talking about how easy it is.
You have to share a little bit of the drive. All right, before we let you go, also wanted to hit on, again, it's a kind of a fun afternoon. I mentioned it earlier. It's not your father's Super Derby, but the Super Derby is today as well down at Louisiana Downs. But one of the highlights of the day will be out at Del Mar, obviously, Pacific Classic. And I think the headline in the Daily Racing Forum noted the 3-year-olds are really kind of intriguing here. One of those being Go Rocket Ride, coming out of the win in the Haskell last time, very lightly raced. But Arabian Night is in here for Bob Baffert. Senior Buscador is interesting to me. I think Todd Fincher, who is well-known down in the Southwest, I think is branching out and becoming a little more well-known around Defunded in here also for Bob Baffert. What did you see in the Pacific Classic?
Well, first of all, I love that we're getting this clash of generations.
Yeah.
I remember this a little bit in the old days with the Pack Classic, but this year it reminds me of like what the Eclipse Stakes at Sandown typically is over there, where the horses from their Triple Crown Trail, and they're facing against the Elder Division. This has that real sexy feel as far as that goes. And I think that the famous 3-year-olds, while contenders, are going to create a lot of value on some of the older horses, because I think a lot of people, and the numbers suggest this is completely reasonable, see the 3-year-olds as the ones to beat.
Yeah.
I really like Slow Down Andy in this spot. This was a horse that was so impressive in the dirt mile, and I feel like just has excuses for the 2 runs this year. Came back in an extremely tough spot in a race that was probably a little bit too sharp in the Met Mile. And then I thought the last day in the San Diego ran absolutely huge. That was a closer, tilted, not so great rail day at Del Mar. This horse got the worst of it, I thought. Still ran really well. Now 3rd race, has to answer the distance question. But when we're going to get 6-8 to 1 on a runner like that, I think it's okay. I think Slow Down Andy's a very, very interesting item in the Pack Classic.
Yeah, Doug O'Neill trainee, ran 2nd to Senior Buscador in that San Diego, but as you said, was sitting right up there most of the way, and got run down by Senior Buscador. I'm going to be interested to see what Go Rocket Ride can do, though, being lightly raced. And again, with a 3-year-old division, I think now has a leader in Arcangelo, but this horse could beat older. Certainly throws his hat right back into the ring. Speaking of that, what did you think of the Travers and Arcangelo? And do you agree? I mean, he's now at the head of the class.
I mean, that was just wonderful. He's a horse who makes his own trips. He's so talented. He's been brilliantly handled, beautifully trained. I mean, everything has gone right for this runner. He is now a very solid favorite overseas for the Breeders' Cup Classic, something on the order of 5 to 1, which is probably short enough, but it shows the measure. And honestly, right up there in the betting too, I think 10 to 1, maybe tied second choice, is Go Rocket Ride, depending on what he does today. So clearly the international market has decided that the older horses are going to have a lot to tangle with in terms of these rising 3-year-olds come the end of the year. But yeah, I couldn't be a bigger Arcangelo fan. That was wonderful for both the Belmont and Travers to get the Jenna Antonucci story. We had Maggie Wolfendale interview Jenna for our YouTube channel, and she's just so articulate and a great representative of the game, and obviously and most important of all, a terrific horse trainer.
Yeah, I had her in towards the beginning of the meet because I wanted to recap kind of that Travers win, and she was great in here, and it was fun. I have to admit, the layoff concerned me. I went with Mays, who didn't really show up. The layoff, 77 days. You can go back to Birdstone. He did in 84 days going to Belmont to Travers victories. So it's been done. But the post-race press conference, Jenna Antonucci said, "Thank you to all the naysayers." It just made me, and I guess I was one of the. I was also Javier Castellano. He was interesting because he said, "I wasn't even here on this day last year. I had to go down to Monmouth because I couldn't get any mounts." And so he comes back and has a crazy year he's had this year with the Triple Crown.
17th Travers this year, whatever it is. He's
7th, but still pretty good. Yeah, it seemed like that. Yeah,
I was going to go 6, and I was like, "That's wrong," so I'll just make up a number. But yeah, it's been an incredible story watching his re-rise to prominence, and he's done a wonderful job with in the case of so many of these rides too. It's been great to see. Yeah, Archangelo's a great story, and it just, one thing I'll say about the layoff, and when it's the plan all along, I'm much more into it than when it's exactly when it's planned. It was always plan A, and that's a credit to her training and her ability, like the best horsemen and horsewomen, to come up with a plan and then stick said plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. Before I let you go, because you alluded to it a couple of times with mentions of Europe, we talked about the In the Money Media empire, and I said before you came up, we talked about that and much more. Well, some of the much more is you also are a correspondent. Is that the right word for Sky Sports?
Absolutely. Sky Sports Racing in the UK. I'm actually going to be on Sunday and Monday. This might be my last day at the track, because I'm supposed to be on TV Sunday and Monday. Now, I may try to broadcast from the track, but that can get a little tricky, as you know. So, this might be my swan song for Saratoga 23. But then I also do writing for attheraces.com. And for that, my typical piece, I've got one up for the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I'll do the Spin Away and the Hopeful, where I go through runner by runner and offer thoughts, sort of like an expanded version of a DRF closer look almost. And that you can read anywhere. You need special this and that to get to watch my broadcasts over there, because it's not technically available in the States. But the writing for attheraces.com, and attheraces.com in general has a wide variety of excellent form analysis tools, and hopefully is only going to be getting to be a better place to cover not just American racing, but racing in France and in England. It can really help when you're looking at these first-time North America horses too. So it's good I'm glad you gave me a chance to plug them as well.
And that also sparked talk a little bit about your Eclipse Award, because that's in there too as well.
That's right.
Congratulations! Well, a couple of years ago now.
Still, we'll I'll tell you, it's one of those things.
Absolutely.
I'm sure Don Larson never got tired talking about his perfect game. I never tired talking about the Eclipse Award. That was a result of my main contact over there, Matthew Taylor, had this idea to do a celebration of the Breeders' Cup. And actually, there's a little bit of a sequel project in the works. That was nice. a multimedia project a few years ago. You can find it. If you just were to Google Breeders' Cup Memories and my name, you could probably find that. But so this year, Breeders' Cup are also clients, and we do this event called Horse Player Happy Hour, where you play. It's actually worth checking out. Every Thursday, a $20 game that's basically a feeder into the Breeders' Cup betting challenge. I won't do the full plug here.
It's horse players, right?
Exactly. If you go to horseplayers.com and look for Horse Player Happy Hour, this is definitely it's a great contest to get involved in. We'll leave that for another time. But as part of our live streams we do every 4 to 5 on Thursday, we have been in this 40th year of the Breeders' Cup, where there are so many celebrations, rightly, of moments and horses and trainers and jockeys. We're doing the horse player celebrations. And I might actually draft you for this now. I want people to come on and give their Breeders' Cup betting memory. Usually it's a triumph. Occasionally it's a close call. But
I love that. That's a great idea.
Start thinking, because I'm going to – so, yeah, I mean, the best one so far was probably having G.D. Hieronymus on, talking about his legendary Breeders' Cup pick. I think it was a pick 6 or a pick 7. Pick 6, I think it was, because it was 98 score at Gulfstream, where he swept the $3 million in that.
I don't have one that good.
We have $20 bets. We have near misses. We have everything. But especially if you can help me out, obviously it tilts towards the recent.
Yeah.
You've been playing the game for minutes, so maybe we can go back and get one from the 90s or something.
About that. That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah, very good. So maybe another Eclipse Award in the thing. Pete, I absolutely appreciate the visit. It's been a lot of fun, and wish you a lot of good luck going forward here at the meet, making some plays and maybe a little score over the next few days, but going forward as well. And congratulations on the empire, the In the Money Media empire. As I say, people should check it out. Highly recommended, with the multitude of podcasts, and now the YouTube channel as well. Seems like a lot of podcasts are kind of going over and doing little video versions also.
For sure. YouTube is a great, great area. And it's funny. I used to think if it's video, it needs a reason to be video. With young people, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
it can just be a talking head. It's the way people find content. Part of it is, not to go too down the rabbit hole on you, but it's just how good the YouTube search engine is. So this is the first year. It used to be people would say, oh, love the podcast. Now a third of the people say, oh, I love your YouTube. It's a great way for discovery and new fans, and something racing needs to even take more advantage of.
Yeah, well, we're on YouTube, and I always tell the guys, you're absolutely right, because when I handicap at night, in my office, I typically will have the computer going, and I'll just have a YouTube video going in the background.
Yep.
When you pull up that front page, there are all kinds of algorithms and things that, and a lot of, because of my interest, a lot of the is horse racing content.
Serves up the good stuff.
But you have to, on the content side, you have to be smart too, as to how you describe it, and the likes and the that people should remember that too. The likes and the subscriptions make a big difference.
Comments
as well.
too. Comments are big in the algorithm.
That helps.
Anytime you like a video, let them know.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, appreciate the visit. And as I say, good luck going forward, and we'll talk again.
Cheers, my friend.
All right. We'll wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. Saturday, the last Saturday of the meet. As I say, it's a little melancholy, but smiles on our faces, as there will be some nice weather over the next few days and some really nice racing as well. And again, don't forget, not just here, out at Del Mar, the big day with the Pacific Classic, Kentucky Downs with some great stakes action as well, that Louisiana Downs Super Derby. So a great Saturday all around, and you can enjoy it via Capital OTB. So keep that in mind. But don't forget, come on up here to the track if you haven't been here yet, because a great day ahead. And we will be back tomorrow morning, as usual, at 9 o'clock, Handicapper Support, 10 o'clock tomorrow, the last edition of the season of Loose on the Lead with Steve Bix. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, enjoy the afternoon. See you tomorrow morning for more on OTB TV. See you then.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.